I came from a house that was like a Neil Simon play, and Gary's family's like Leave It to Beaver. That's the best way to describe it. So backtracking, my house at the dinner table, if we wanted to talk about our periods, if we said we need therapy, anything was a go. We were an open book.
Oh, I remember you plopping down at the table and saying, listen, everyone, if I'm in a bad mood today, I'm getting my period tomorrow. And I spit my food out thinking we're talking about that because at my house, we're holding hands singing Kumbaya.
That was nudie.
This is the first episode of the When Gary Met Wendy podcast. And I'll tell you the truth, I'm a little surprised we were even able to get this podcast up and running. We ran into some major snags.
I think we are on week 9 of leaving our job saying,
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be easy. We'll be running in 2 weeks. And not so much. It didn't go that way.
When I read up on this, they said that if most people don't make it past their 10th podcast, people sign up, they do all this stuff, and then after 10 podcasts, they just fade away. I'm thinking, how easy is 10 podcasts going to be? We can't even get through the first podcast.
It's definitely been a road, but I will tell you, now that we're here, we're excited. We're excited to tell you some of our stories. We've been together 38 years. We've also worked together for 38 years, and we still sort of like each other.
Yeah, we definitely do. And one of the things I think that held us up was I didn't know you needed to have a degree from Harvard in computer science to do a podcast. It took me 3 weeks just to get the webcam working on my laptop. Finally, I gave up and we went to a computer store on your suggestion, and I plopped the laptop down on the desk, and the 19-year-old kid's sitting there and says, why don't you just flip the switch on?
Like, turn it on?
Like, who knew on a laptop there's an outside switch for a webcam? I didn't know that. I'm going through the settings and doing all that. And that was our first little snag. Our second little snag was our children. We didn't know the trauma that this would cause them.
Well, they're young adults. They're 25 and 23.
I'm always going to call them my kids.
That's true. But yeah, they were train wrecks when we told them, because over COVID, we did a TikTok and we did a YouTube. And one of them had to hold a camera for at least 4 to 5 hours.
She was our tripod.
Yeah.
We used our daughter as a living tripod.
And the other one had to edit. So they were horrified when we said we're going to do it.
Yeah,
didn't go well at all.
No, so that was another issue. And then once we start recording, it's not that easy. 2 people sitting here doing a podcast. I remember I'll be talking, but out of the corner of my eye, I can see you and you're like falling asleep or you seem bored with the story. Then I'm thinking what I'm saying is really bad.
Yeah, I get bored easy.
So we had to get over that little thing too. And we're used to working together.
Yes.
So we figured a podcast would be easy because here we're together all the time, pretty much 24/7. And you can ask our kids because that also annoys them that we're always together.
Yes. We were in the car. We were at a doctor's appointment and I think the phone rang and it was connected to Bluetooth. And she's telling me about her job. And next thing you know, Gary says, hi, Lily. And she's like, oh, he's there again? Like, I would think they'd be excited about that.
Yeah, no, I think they sometimes think that we're together too much. They probably look at other couples who have just separate jobs. They're not always together. Maybe
and that's normal.
It's very normal. And somehow we've been together all that time and we've lasted. And that's kind of what the story that we want to tell. But I will say this, when we're not together, things don't always go real well.
No, not at all. Last weekend we weren't together.
No.
And I think you were with my brother.
And you did a girls' night.
Yes.
Yeah. And
you had an episode.
No, it didn't end up real well. I remember in the middle of the night, I end up on his bathroom tile floor.
Whose floor?
Your brother's.
Oh.
Bathroom tile floor in his condo, naked, passed out. And the whole time before I pass out, the whole time I'm thinking, he's going to think it's because I'm drinking. I felt really nauseous. And sometimes we went to a steakhouse. Sometimes I have a steak. It affects me in a weird way in my stomach.
And you love a bathroom tile floor.
Oh, my gosh.
You hug that.
And, of course, the next morning he says to me, you slept in the one place I haven't cleaned in 5 years. So when we're not together, and I was thinking that the whole time before I passed out, I'm thinking, you know what? If Wendy was here, she would be cracking up right now. This is one of those situations, but things happen like that. And another thing too, I want to mention, if you hear a clanking during this podcast or we're sucking on a straw, that's because we're Bloody Mary specialists.
If you check us out on YouTube, you'll see our Bloody Marys. We had 45 different toppings over COVID, and this is one of our fan faves. It's a crispy grilled cheese, a dill pickle, a blue cheese stuffed olive, bacon, and of course the celery stalk. And they're delicious. We're going to tell you more about our Bloody Marys on each episode, and come and sip and watch with us.
This one was important too. We wanted this one to be our first one because it kind of reminds us. Do you remember when your mom used to make tomato soup?
Yes.
And then she'd always have a grilled cheese sandwich along with it.
It's that comfort feel.
Yeah, and then maybe a pickle. Now, would you do sweet or dill pickle?
Always still. How about you?
We were always sweet pickle.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. See how that combination comes together? We're kind of getting a little ahead of ourselves. Let's go back to the beginning when we first met. I remember at the time you were going to Harcum Junior College.
I think the reputation was Harcum, Parcum, Farcum, and the Darkum.
And that's exactly why I brought all my friends, guy friends there every weekend
You
to
took
party.
advantage of that for sure.
It was an all-girls school, and it was a 2-year school. And you went there how long?
I think 4.5 years. It was a great area.
You were going for your master's?
No,
Oh.
no masters, just had fun.
No, but so I remember we were going to that school one night. There was a party going on, and I can remember it was in one of the dorm rooms, and I walk into the room, and there you are, and it was love at first sight. Was it for you as well?
Absolutely not.
Really?
Not for a second. Well, basically, I saw you as well, but what I was fascinated by was a group of girls were around you. And what I learned later is he dated half of Harcum. I don't blame you. It was a great place to meet girls.
Yeah, it was like the perfect place. And that's what you did when you're 19 years old.
Sure. So he dated half the girls. He was funny. He was fun. He was adorable, but he was short. That bothered me so much because I'm a bigger boned person and Gary's little and petite. So that's all that I was very surface, still can be sometimes, but that's all I saw was the shortness.
Well, I remember when I first saw you, I was very attracted, and I can remember what you're wearing. The very first time, 38 years ago, and I still have that locked into my, yes, I still have it locked into my memory. You were in a Minnie Mouse yellow sweatshirt and red shorts.
First of all, I don't own anything with Minnie or Mickey Mouse, so I doubt it. But if you say so.
No, I remember definitely. I was a
Really?
little surprised because it was kind of a party and you weren't more dressed up. But maybe that's what attracted me to you.
Yeah.
The fact that you weren't. So you were bothered by my height. Now let's go on record here. I'm not that short. I'm 5'6.5". You were 5'7".
Right.
There wasn't much difference there.
No, but again, I'm a bigger bone person. That really bothered me.
Okay. Do you notice how short people always add that half?
Oh, yes.
Like it makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely. You're already getting taller.
And one thing too is I have to say is, wouldn't you say even today, how do you think that affects? Do you think girls are still bothered by that, or 30 some years later, do you think that's different?
I think they're still bothered. Our daughter dated someone short and that definitely bothered her. And I spoke with some of her friends on campus and they said the same thing. Yes, I would be bothered. And that's really a note to self. If there's something small, like someone short, and they're really good to you and you have good communication and there's so many other positives, stick with that because the shortness goes away.
It does. It does. And there were some other couples that people will remember that the woman was shorter. How about Sonny and Cher?
Yes.
I got you, babe. Right there. That was sort. And then you always joke too. You always say to me when I bring up stars, like I'll say Tom Cruise or Sylvester Stallone, you always throw in the mix
Danny DeVito. He's one of my fan
Danny
favorites.
DeVito's like 5 feet tall. So I'm definitely taller than him. But wasn't he married to Rhea Perlman?
Yes.
And she was taller than him as well.
Yeah.
So there are even some famous
Wasn't a big
couples.
deal.
So maybe it doesn't bother everyone. But the shortness did bother me too. I will say that.
Well,
It was,
you hid that well. You never acted like it bothered you.
well, it was one of my kryptonites. I remember reading in a magazine one time that they had that said, look 2 inches taller. So I'm thinking, wow, 5'6.5". I could be 5'8.5". I thought this was going to be fantastic. So I order this boot, and the boot comes, and the gimmick is it has just high heels, giant heels. So now I'm thinking, yeah, I'll be taller, but I'll also look like a band member from the group Kiss. So I'm
Gene
walking
Simmons.
around like Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley in these high boots. And plus, I was not used to high heels. So now I'm all wobbly, and I certainly couldn't run in them.
That's funny.
But you know what? I did order another pair because they worked.
Of course you did.
They made me look taller, and it was kind of cool. I wonder if they make those today. I'd have to check that out. But I don't think I'd need to wear them today. I'm a little bit over it, but I'm not sure you are.
I'm probably at 80%, I'd say.
Well, for this podcast, you wanted me to sit on a pillow, and I will show everyone on YouTube who's watching, just to make me look taller.
It balances us. It's
Okay.
just better balance.
All right. But you still think about it a little bit
I do.
to this day.
Yeah.
All right. So once we got over the shortness, now I remember coming home the next day, and I was at my house, and I said to my dad, I met this amazing Italian girl at this party.
Jewish.
And so I said, you know what, though? I'm not sure we connected. I sensed that there was something. I wasn't sure what it was. I didn't know at the time it was my shortness.
I'm sure my face said it all.
But I sensed you had an expression like, this guy's okay, but there's something bothering me about him. So I thought I'd never hear from you again. But that day, you gave me a phone call, and it was you.
Well, I think I kept thinking about this guy's so fun and funny, and fun and funny's top two in a relationship. You have
It
to have
helps a
fun.
lot.
It helps because if we're arguing, we get over it so fast. We laugh, we make fun of each other, and then we move on. And I love that about us. So your personality just really shined. And again, adorable. And I thought, you know what? He is sure. That was definitely in my mind. I'm just doing it. I'm calling him.
I thought that was bold for that period of time. That was like the late 1980s, early 80s, after high school.
mid-80s.
So I thought that was bold for that time, because I remember back then when I would call a girl, first of all, it would take me hours to get the nerve. We didn't have cell phones. The phone's on the wall, and I remember sitting there for hours trying to get the nerve up. Did you have any nervous reaction?
Maybe a little bit. I may have discussed it with a roommate or two.
Yeah, or 7 or 8 maybe.
Yeah, probably.
But you brought up something there. It's extremely important that you can make fun of your significant other.
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun.
In a positive way, but sometimes
It's a
jokingly
funny way to
too.
argue because everyone argues. You could get really nasty, but if you can turn that, as we aged, we got better at arguing. We worked on arguing.
We did.
And it's key to argue. You have to argue. It's great to apologize, but you can make the arguments fun.
And most of the time you're arguing about something so ridiculous. That's why it's fun to make a joke about it.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter. I think I used to always want to get the last word in and win. Who cares?
You did.
Now I realize I don't care anymore who wins.
No,
I don't have to be right. I don't have to get the last word.
You sucked up your pride.
Oh, yeah.
And then for relationships to make it, I think pride is a big thing. Sometimes you can't, like you said, you can't always win the argument. So now we start dating. And everything's going well. It is a little strange, though. I remember your dorm room was on the first floor at Harcum College, and their deadline was, I believe, 10 at night. But I would sneak in after that because you were on the first floor. There would be a 9-foot heater right up against your window. All I had to do was jump on that. You'd open the window, let me sneak in. I'd bring beer, I'd bring wine, whatever it was at the time. And I was really excited to get there and spend time with you. But you always had someone in that room with us.
Yes, my sweet mate, Abby, she was the best cock block person you could ever imagine. I'd be like, Abby, come in. He's coming over. The shortness was still bothering me. So surface. But she would come in like clockwork. And she was there for a couple weeks. Poor Gary. I mean, he was so patient. But you know what? Those were the things you did.
Well, I remember jumping on the bed and being excited to watch a movie with you. And then the next thing I know, Abby's jumping in between us.
Flopped right in the middle.
Right. Any beer or food I bring, I hope you brought enough for Abby. She's going to be spending time. So that was a little adjustment period, but I understand it. You weren't ready yet to commit to anything serious at that time.
Right.
And we had a great time. Abby was a big part of that. Fun time. So now we're dating for a little bit, and now it's time to meet the parents, which is obviously a little bit of a nerve-wracking situation. Was it for you to meet up with my parents?
I was a train wreck. Gary's father was a minister. So I'm Jewish, and anything that I think comes out of my mouth. I came from a house that was like a Neil Simon play, and Gary's family's like Leave It to Beaver. That's the best way to describe it. So backtracking, my house at the dinner table, if we wanted to talk about our periods, if we said we need therapy, anything was a go. We were an open book.
Oh, I remember you plopping down at the table and saying, listen, everyone, if I'm in a bad mood today, I'm getting my period tomorrow. And I spit my food out thinking we're talking about that because at my house, we're holding hands singing Kumbaya.
That was new to you. But I think you needed that for later in life with our daughters.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember the incident at the food store?
Oh, with which one?
Well, I'm standing in line at the food store and I have all the groceries and everything I need. And then the woman picks up a box and goes, "We need a price check on Super Plus tampons." It's kind of embarrassing for a guy.
Was there a line behind?
There was about 20 people behind me
Oh my
waiting.
gosh.
And now I'm holding up all these feminine products that had no price on it for
The
some
things you
reason
do
at all.
for your daughters.
And for you.
Thank you. But so anyway, that was my family. And Gary, you explained your family. So when I went in, again, I still was very insecure with, feeling bigger boned and big. So when I went into this house, everyone was little and petite like Gary and lovely. And I felt like the furniture was real tiny like them. I just, felt a little awkward, but everyone was great. It was not as bad as I thought. And I think the lesson for me was don't get yourself so worked up, which I did for the next 40 years for different things in my life. But you learn, don't work yourself up so much because usually it's not that bad. Things are not going to happen the way you think.
Right.
And worry about it when that time comes.
Never as bad as you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
We always worry more than the situation ever entails.
So when you went to my house.
But wait a minute. I want to ask you one
Oh,
question.
sorry.
Do you think coming to my house, one of the issues was that my father was a minister?
Oh, that was the big.
Because that's a lot of pressure. Because I'll tell you what, as we talked about my shortness, my father being a minister was my second kryptonite because I always felt like I had to live up to a certain standard. And now you're a Jewish girl coming over to a United Methodist son's, father who's a minister. So that might have been a lot of pressure on you at the time.
Oh, I definitely felt it.
Yeah, and I felt it too. And I'll tell you, one of the things I was real excited about when I met you is I'm thinking to myself, I'm finally going to be able to shed being the minister's son. Because that's how I always felt like people referred me. So that did not transpire as I thought, because next thing you know, when we're going to parties or any get together, the first thing you would say when we'd walk in the door, "Oh, this is my boyfriend, Gary. His father's a minister."
I love that.
Yeah.
I just love saying that. And I didn't realize it bothered you so much.
It did. It did.
Yeah.
But then again, I keep a lot of things inside.
You do.
That was sort of a family trait of ours.
Yeah.
But so
Brush it under.
I'd be at a party and you would introduce me that way. So now I'm in talking to a group of people, but you were the queen of this. You had an amazing ability to stick me in a conversation at parties and then just disappear.
Oh, I love that. So not just with you, but anybody, it's a great move.
It's a gift.
If
You have a gift.
If you're talking to someone, and sometimes people just talk about themselves and they're not letting you speak and it's going on and you can't break away. So it's simple. You just say, "Oh my gosh, it's so great seeing you." And after a couple minutes, "By the way, did you meet Gary? Excuse me, I'll be right back."
Yeah. And then I'd be stuck in the conversation, and somehow you would always find the fun people to talk to. And I would be stuck in a conversation that was a little boring.
I'm surprised you didn't get me back.
I'll find a way one day. So now it's time. You've met my family. Now I have to meet your family. And that's a different vibe, meeting your family.
Oh,
Because
Neil
now,
Simon play again.
yeah, now too, the guy has a different responsibility. I have to prove to your family that I am the right guy for you. And there's some standards I thought in my mind I needed to
You
live
did
up
have
to.
to prove. I didn't know that.
That's how I felt.
Okay.
A guy feels like there's standards that they have to impress the family. So I wanted to impress your family with my athletics and in some form of intelligence, because that's what the guy does. He wants to show a good first impression. And I wanted to do that. I remember coming to your house, and one of the things was I was a bodybuilder.
Yes.
So, and I usually took my shirt off everywhere. And I'm sure I walked around your house.
You walked around constantly
With no
without a
shirt.
shirt. And my mom would say, "When is he going to put his shirt back on? I can't look."
Well, bodybuilding's one of those it was foreign to your family.
Yeah.
It's one of those weird sports. I did do a contest though.
Oh, Mr. Natural Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I took third.
You did well.
Yes.
3 out of 3.
Well, the fans were really cheering for
But your
me.
sister was the only one cheering. But you did. It was an interesting.
So that was as strange for them to see me walking around. But anyway, so your family was always very athletic. And I remember when I met them too, I felt like I was in the land of giants. Everyone in your family's so tall. Like my family's all small and petite. Your family's very tall.
Yes.
So it's like when I first get there, your father gives me a big hug, but I felt like he could fit me in his pocket and he engulfs me. And I felt like a big bear was hugging me. And so that was a little intimidating there. And then I remember your sister said, "Hey, you want to play some ping pong?" So I thought, "Oh, this is great. I'll start showing off. I could play some ping pong. Well, as I'm playing her ping pong, she's whooping my ass. And it's one of those ass whoopings when the other person starts saying encouraging words because they feel bad they're beating you so bad. So
Right.
little did I know, just about everyone in your family is a great athlete. I'm not sure what happened to you.
Good question. I think probably maybe my mom was on diet pills when she was pregnant with me. That's probably the only thing I
It
can
wasn't
think
that you were a bad athlete. You just didn't excel like the rest
of. Oh,
of
they
your
were
family.
great athletes. I think my sister had the javelin record at our high school
Impressive.
till like 5 years ago.
Wow. And then I also wanted to really impress your brothers, who were also big athletes. And
But you were a state champ swimmer.
I was.
I feel like in butterfly, that's not easy. So you were an athlete.
And that's the first
but
thing.
You still put that pressure on yourself.
I did.
Okay.
But because swimming's a weird sport, it's not like everyone has a swimming pool where I can say, hey, watch everybody, I'm going to jump in the water and show you how good of a swimmer I was.
You always want to race people. That reminds me, like any pool we go to, like, hey, well, I'm probably the instigator. Gary wants to race you, little Johnny, and he's 5 years old, all excited, and you get excited too.
No, I do. And I've actually won a few of those races.
Yes.
We should start making money. That's a good way to make some money on the side. We'll sucker some people into some bets doing that. But anyway, your brother, so you were excited to tell him that I was a state champion swimmer.
Oh, yes. So when they meet, my brother was so excited to say, hey, Gary, what sports? Do you play any sports? And Gary goes, I'm a swimmer. And he says, swimming's not a sport.
Yeah. So that 5'6.5" at that point now, after your sister's ass whooping and him saying that, now I feel like I'm around 5'2", 5'2.5". And so, of course, then he says, hey, listen, I'm going to get some of my friends over. Let's play some basketball. Well, basketball is not one of my sports. And really, your brother said that about swimming, because if it wasn't basketball, football, or baseball, the big three, he didn't believe it was a sport. So next thing you know, I'm out on the basketball court in your backyard, and your brother has like 5 or 6 of his friends over, and I'm thinking, all right, I got to do something here. I remember jumping up, because I was a real good jumper, even though I was short, and holding on to the rim. I'm thinking, if I show them I can do that, they're going to, and they were like, wow, this guy, he can jump. This is going to be good. Good game. So we split up the teams. I'm ready. Somebody passes me the ball, and my first shot doesn't even come near the basket. I completely brick it. And from there on, no one throws me the ball the rest of the game. And I felt like I was like that third wheel just standing there. You know how on the playground when you're getting picked for dodgeball and you're the last one?
Oh, yes.
That's how I felt. So now I'm 0 for 2 at your house.
Oh, no.
And things aren't going well. And now it's time to meet your father. And this is the guy.
He hug you already?
He hugged me, but now I had to actually really explain myself, because now it was time questions. He was really cool. I remember him. He did hand me a beer.
I remember you at one point sinking into the couch. You kept saying, I feel like I'm sinking into this couch. It's so big.
Well, everything at your house, everything at your house was different than my house. Everything was big. I remember sitting at the dining room table, and my feet are like dangling off the dining room chair. And I felt like one of your family members should have been feeding me like a baby with a spoon.
Molly.
I felt like I was 3 years old.
Molly in the big comfy couch.
So there were some things going on in my head that weren't going quite right at this day. So now it's time that I have to impress your father. And the fact that you went to Harcum, and I met you at Harcum Junior College. Harcum Junior College was on the main line. And the main line is a very wealthy place. It's a 2-year college, a very expensive 2-year college. And I always felt that girls went there to meet a wealthy guy. And
I never even thought that for a minute.
Well, and I'm thinking he sends his daughter there to find a wealthy guy. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not that guy. In fact, don't I tell you, even to this day, I think a few days ago, I said to you, listen, if you ever want to marry a rich doctor or lawyer, I'll understand, because I get it, because I'm not that guy. So it's time to meet your dad. And he then greets me, great guy. And he says to me, he says, hey, so what are your plans for your life? What do you expect to do? And there's that question. And it's a good question, because it's something I would ask.
Sure.
So every father asks a guy courting their daughter, what are they going to do with their lives? Unfortunately, at the time, again, I was bodybuilding. I had my shirt off. I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? Shake my boobs in front of him? And he hits me with that question. So right away, I say to him the first thing that comes to mind. I was thinking, well, I'm thinking of writing a screenplay.
Well, you're an artist. You are an artiste.
Yeah, I'm doing a drawing right now. It's really good. But a father to be doesn't want to hear that. He wants to hear something like, oh, I'm going to be working for Apple Computers, or I'm going to be heading over to IBM. I'm thinking of being an entrepreneur. He doesn't want to hear that the guy his daughter could one day marry is the artsy type and may not have a career. So now even
Well, I think you saw him like that. I don't think he was really thinking
no,
that.
he
I think
wasn't.
that was all
It was in my
your
mind.
insecurities.
Yes. And once again, we worry about things. We talked about that
Yes.
that aren't usually true. But
That's right.
even to this day, because right now we're not working and I'm going to be seeing him in a couple of days, and I'm thinking to myself, when he says, hey, so what are you doing now, Gary? And I'm going to be like, oh, we're doing a podcast. And he's going to be like, oh, fantastic. You and the 10 million other people? That should go real well. And where's the income going to come from that?
I think he's at peace with whatever we do, but it's funny how our minds still can race, but we definitely have more control over our mind space. Age definitely helps.
We do. So now we've been together now, and it's time for our marriage.
Oh, well, first of all, we had a big wedding plan.
Mm-hmm.
We lived together for 7 years, and everyone's like, why aren't you getting married? There's no rush. There's no reason to say, I have to be married. And by the way, now that I know, like 20s, you really don't have much figured out. You don't in your 50s, but 20s. So when the older you get, I think the better you are with finding that perfect person. And no one's perfect, but I think it's better. So I'm glad we lived together for 7 years. Highly recommend Live in Sin.
Yeah.
And I think we had a huge wedding plan, a big band, and out of nowhere, 6 months before, we said, why are we doing this? This is not us. We are not the big wedding people. Let's go on a really kick-ass honeymoon to Hawaii, have a garden party in May, and we had a small wedding with our families at my house. And
I mean, you probably changed your mind about 30 times.
At least. At least we had time to do it. We had a lot of time.
And you probably didn't ask anyone's opinion at all.
No, not at all.
But I'll tell you what, let me ask, I have a quiz question for you.
Sure.
Do you know how long the average couple in America stays married today?
I'll say 3 to 4 years.
Wow, that's pretty good. I actually didn't give that humanity that much credit. I said probably 1 or 2. It's 8 years.
Really?
Yeah, 8 years the average couple stays married. So, in reality, our living together for 7 was a good setup. Now, if it's your second marriage, it goes down a year, and if it's your third marriage, it goes down a year. So once you get into that routine, it does sort of fade away a little bit.
All right.
So, all right. So the marriage is there. We get married. It turns out it was a really cool marriage, and especially the fact that we had the party at your house after.
That was neat.
That was a couple months later.
We celebrated with all our friends and family. We had a DJ. We had mimosas and Bloody Marys, which we still drink Bloody Marys on Sundays on the driveway. It was really cool.
That was fun.
Women were in the big hats.
But our honeymoon was definitely interesting.
Oh, that was interesting.
Yeah. So our honeymoon starts out where we're going to be going to Hawaii, but we start out in San Diego where we're going to stay a few days. And we decide from everyone from Wendy's family's recommendation, oh, you have to stay with Uncle Henry. Uncle Henry's the best. You're going to love Uncle Henry. Well, we learned some facts about Uncle Henry.
He wasn't a good driver.
Well, he was dangerous.
He had rules.
Our lives were at stake
with
Uncle
Henry.
Henry.
Red light, he just went through. Every stop sign he went through. He had a lot of rules. If we said, we're going out, we're meeting friends, he'd say, what time will you be back? I'll be waiting up. And I think we went to, what happened at the zoo? Something happened at the zoo. He took us to the zoo.
Yeah, he gave us curfews, and then we end up going to the San Diego Zoo. I'm a big animal lover, and it's one of the greatest zoos.
You live for the reptile house.
One of the greatest zoos in the entire world. So I'm excited to spend 5 or 6 hours there. So, of course, he wants to take us, and he drops us off at the zoo. And we're like, all right, what are you going to do? Come back in a few hours? He goes, no, I'm going to wait right here in the parking lot. I'll wait till you come out. So now we're thinking it's 90 degrees. We're not going to make this old guy sit in his car while we're through the zoo. So I think we ran through that zoo in about 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah, we zipped through. It was not fun.
No. So
note to self, don't stay with family.
Well, and here's the thing. I remember when we get home and we tell everyone we stayed with Uncle Henry, they're like, you did what? Why'd you stay? It's as if they forgot. Why did you stay with Uncle Henry? Oh, you did not drive with Uncle Henry. Nobody warned us.
No.
It was like
it was a game.
It was like
a setup.
They set us up. It was
But the honeymoon was interesting. I remember we were in Hawaii and there was a big chocolate bar on our bed.
Oh, yeah.
And my friend Abby, who was the cock block years ago, her husband worked for Hershey, and there was a huge Hershey bar, and it said, "You'll never guess who's here." Well, we were like, of course, Abby and Andrew.
Right.
We were psyched. We were like, this is going to be cool.
Yeah. So we obviously think it's them. But then I remember walking out to the balcony one morning, and I'm like, Wendy, get over here right now. And as I'm looking down, I'm like, Wendy, I think your father's here. And he's down at the pool. We were on the 18th floor, and I can remember him waving up at us with that big smile of his. And I'm like, your parents are on our honeymoon.
Well, that was a treat and surprise. And I think what happened
Well, I
was-
said to you, do you remember what I said to you?
What?
I said, is this a Jewish tradition, like breaking the glass or singing Hava Nagila and lifting someone in a chair?
the in-laws come.
This was new to me. I'm thinking, do the parents come on the
Of
honeymoon
course
on
they
day
do.
2?
Yes. My dad won a trip, and because we switched our date so many times, he was going on the trip.
Yeah.
And I don't think they wanted to give us agita before. So they went and they had their little plan, and it ended up being okay. Like, we had dinner with them one night. They were a lot of fun, luckily. So it worked out pretty well.
It was fantastic. The only difficult part was telling people after, hey, how was your honeymoon? It was great. And Wendy's parents enjoyed it too.
Yes.
Like, that was the only thing that was a little crazy. But we've had some crazy times. But you know what? Maybe them being on our honeymoon is the reason we've lasted this long.
Yes, that was good luck.
Yeah.
So I think another great thing that we do, we've been doing this for 38 years. And if we miss a Sunday, we pick up another day. And it's called evaluation. We talk about negatives and positives. And normally through the years, my list is like this from Gary, and his list is like this. Like, his worst
Yeah.
thing is, like, can you not have that shit-eating grin on all day?
Oh, you mean this one?
Yeah, all day. Like, I have a friend that says, I always know Gary at a stop sign. You know, he's in his big minivan and he has this shit-eating grin on. Like, he smiles all the time. And that is wonderful. But it can annoy people at times if you get annoyed, if you have that personality.
Yeah.
But it is a big positive. But
And I remember you two yelling to me saying, hey, we're doing evaluation now. Are you ready? And I'm like, no, I'm still writing things down. And I would come in and just unravel this huge scroll of paper.
oh my gosh, you can't make it up.
But nobody works on themselves better than you. I will say that. You do a fantastic job now. Work on yourself incredibly. You do a great job for that.
Thank you. So the evaluation is great. And if you could stick with that, and it can be simple, but it lets you communicate. And some people don't want to speak about it, so you can put it on paper. And that always brings you together. And it doesn't have to be a Sunday night. That's what worked for us. And it's not always going to be fun and games. And I recommend it. It can change your world.
The key is being honest.
Yeah.
With yourself. You got to be upfront and tell. The whole point of it is tell exactly what's bothering you that the other person is doing so that they can find a way to correct it.
Yes.
Hey, so thanks for joining us with our Bloody Marys. And we made it. We got through our first podcast. Congratulations.
See you next